Hey there, VC. It's been a long time, so stay a while and listen. I got a lot of new records, but I'm not gonna show them all because that would make it a 3-hour long video or something. Starting off, I made a trade with Jonas, also by the name of Sublime Media. He's on the VC, as you might know. So I traded this Dennis Wilson record for a Niagara record. And Jonas, he managed to find an OG copy of this, so I'm really happy that I got this in return. Hopefully Jonas will be happy with Niagara. Also bought some records from a guy in Greece. I got this Indian Summer. It's on Neon Records. And this is a great record, this early 70s heavy prog stuff. They never made it big because they had another little English group, namely Black Sabbath. I guess they spent all their money on Black Sabbath. But this is really good, highly recommended. Playing right now, oops, in the background, just tipped over all the records. Playing in the background right now is McDonald and Giles. This is another great album from 1971. Probably the best year in music history. And this record features players from King Crimson, as you might know. Ian McDonald and Michael Giles, that play on this record, actually was in King Crimson when they recorded this album. It's kind of hard to describe this album. It's kind of like King Crimson as a 60s British folk psych pop prog band. With some jazzy overtones, as you might hear, or like a crossover between Caravan and King Crimson. This is really good album. I highly recommend that you check this out if you haven't done it already. When it was released, it wasn't that highly regarded, and one must ask yourself why, because this is great. From the same seller, I got this album by Tractor, and this is their debut album from 1972. And this is heavy, psychedelic, proggy and folky. This record's got it all, and if I would recommend some tunes, it would be the first two songs, All Ends Up and Little Girl in Yellow, and the two last songs on this, called Every Time It Happens and Make the Journey. Good album. Moving on. This is a fantastic album. Great record. The opening track, called Look at the Sun, is a really misleading song, because if you only listen to that song, you would think that they are like a some kind of Beatles clone. But this is far from a Beatles clone. They are skillfully blending like blues and jazz and rock into a great record. And Mike Jackson, he was a 17-year-old. They don't really sound like they were that young, and he managed to get a contract at NASCO. And this record is an impressive one. I hope you can hear in the background what it sounds like. It's got great organ, great guitar solos, loud rock and roll, amazing bluesy songs, and it's catchy as hell. Highly, highly recommended. Check them out. Felt. Next one is a strange one. I've been after this for a while. This is Aphrodite Child 666, and one might think that this is a satanic album, but it's far from that. It's actually biblical album, or a concept album about the book of Revelation. And this is really a really weird, quirky and strange and amazing record. It's one of those, either you love it or hate it. And as I said, I've been after this a long time, and I finally got it, so I'm really happy. And if you play this really loud, your neighbors will probably think you're insane or something, because it's that strange. So give it a listen. You will either love it or hate it. Okay, moving on to the next record. I'm gonna play a snippet from that as well. Just gonna find it. Here we go. So as you can see, this is Highway Robbery. This is, I think it's a US original with a little cutout in the corner. This was released in 1972, and as you might hear, this is a really powerful hard rock, progressive rock. They're a trio, really heavy, on the edge of metal sometimes, and highly recommended if you like that kind of music, like the heavy psych hard rock stuff in the veins of Captain Beyond and bands like that. And it's actually not that expensive to get, even an original copy, so you should buy it, should get it. Really good. I got this album by Soft Machine, released in 1972. I've been after this a while because I have almost all of their other earlier albums and some later ones as well. And this was the first album without Robert Wyatt. Not as good as their earlier stuff, but worth a listen. But I wouldn't start here, I would start with one of their earlier albums. Next up, Roger Waters' new album. Is this the life we really want? And my question is this the album we really want? This is really not my cup of tea. I wish that he would write songs instead of like musical soundscapes, because this really reminds me of the last Pink Floyd album that came out. It's like 50-60 minutes of musical landscapes. Oops. Hit myself in the glasses. Yeah, I mean, it's Roger Waters. You know how to write good songs, so why don't you? I will give this a listen later, but right now it's not for me. Maybe in a year or two I can appreciate this. Next up, finally got a hold of the singles soundtrack. It's one of those records that were really expensive, but now they re-released this, and it's if you're a lover of grunge, this is a must. It's got like Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains, and Soundgarden, and Screaming Trees, and also Pearl Jam's State of Love and Trust is on here, and that's it's so good, that song. One of the best tunes, I think. The movie itself is, in all fairness, not that good, but the soundtrack is amazing. Comes in a gatefold, and also, if you can see that, 18 additional tracks on CD with some great Chris Cornell stuff for those of you who love him. I do love him. May he rest in peace, of course. Highly recommended. Even though you don't like grunge, you should get this. It's amazing. Okay, next up. I don't know if I should be ashamed of this. Well, I'm not. This is Tenacious D. I'm a big fan of Jack Black. I think he's really funny. He's a great singer, and so is Kyle Gass. I love all of their albums. They're funny. Great songs, and if you haven't seen their HBO series, I think you should do that, because it's a really good show. And if you like Tenacious D, you should check out Kyle Gass Project, Kyle Gass Band. Really good band as well. Recently played here in Sweden. Didn't see them because I live far north. Okay, last one. I'm gonna try and keep this short. Finally got a hold of this. Flower Traveling Band. Japanese fantastic album from the year 1971, of course. This is an unofficial release because the original is expensive as a mother. And this is a fantastic, very good, weird sounding doom metal, Black Sabbath-ish, heavy psych hard rock album from Japan. Fantastic stuff. Comes in a nice gatefold, and this is a strange beast, but it's fantastic, worth the listening. It's called Satori, if I didn't say that, and the songs are entitled Satori Part 1, Satori Part 2, Satori Part 3, Satori Part 4, Satori Part 5. Yeah, really, really, really good. Yeah. As I said, I have bought a lot of new records, but these were some of the best. I'm thinking about doing like kind of a mixtape video of heavy psych and hard rock stuff. I don't know what you think about that, so leave a comment if you want me to do something like that. Yeah, that's all from me. Bye bye.